The hinge pattern. Lots of options that you can do out of the hinge pattern. What we typically see are deadlifts, RDLs, loading into like a jump pattern, exploding out of that pattern. A lot of softball players were driving out of your hip from that hinge as you're pitching, as you're getting leads off first. Very important pattern, but there's also some troubleshooting and a lot of issues I see a lot of athletes make, and some common mistakes that we see a lot of athletes make with a hinge pattern. So some of the things that we're going to go over is just kind of how we start off learning the hinge pattern, right? Few options. So we could do some counterbalance hinging with some tempo. So whether that might be doing, feet right under your hips, maybe slightly closer. Remember, in a squat, we're hinging. So as we hinge, we're reaching your butt back, creating a little from your hips. So I'm going to reach the weight out. I'm going to really reach. I'm looking to get a good stretch from my hamstrings, from my backside. So I'm going to reach out. The weight counters me, so it allows me to kind of focus on hinging and reaching with my hips. But on the other end of it, we want to make sure we're not just lifting our toes up, right? We're not just lifting your toes up from there. So one of the things that I like to do, if you are having that problem, is I take a band. All right, we're going to put 1 foot under that. If you have 2 bands, you can use 2 feet. I like to dig my big toes into the ground. So I'm going to dig my big toes into the ground. I'm going to slight knee bend, and then I'm going to reach my butt back as I reach that weight out in front of me, and then I'm going to return back up. Another option is you can have a wall behind you, right? You can kind of reach your butt back to the wall, a fence. Like I'm at a field right now. We got fences. You can use a fence for that. But also, if you have a hard time actually getting into that position, we'll see athletes kind of shift almost into like a squat form, or just not really getting that good posterior reach with their hips. One option that can help with that is we have heel risers, right? So I just got 2 weights on the ground. They're about like an inch long. So to put my toes on there, that's gonna kind of help me shift into that pattern, right? And I can do the same idea. I can reach, I can get into that pattern a little bit easier. So depending on where you are, depending on some of the troubleshooting, if you are having a hard time, that is a really good option to start. Now, once you master that, we tend to progress into a kettlebell deadlift. All right, so I've got 2 kettlebells here. What I like to do is when I approach the kettlebell, I'm gonna line the top of the handle up, so I'll turn sideways there. I'm gonna line the top of the handle up with the tops of my shoelaces. So right with the tops of my shoelaces. Now, I'm gonna imagine like I still have that weight, that counterbalance. I'm gonna reach out, I'm gonna get into that position. Notice I'm not letting my knees shift forward. I'm also not just squatting down, right? I'm getting into that good, reaching my hips back, arms out in front. Now I'm gonna crush my armpits until I feel that handle. All right, from there I'm gonna crush the handle. Now I have a lot of tension. I'm getting a little bit shaky from my legs. Everything is tense, right? That's what we want. All right, so from the front view, I'm gonna again line my feet up, tops of my laces with the top of the handle. All right, from there, I'm gonna reach my arms out, find that good stretch in the backside, crush my armpits, find the handle, crush the handle, and then from there, I'm gonna push the floor away. I'm gonna stand nice and tall at the top. And then I'm gonna reverse that pattern, right? I'm gonna sit back and try to place that kettlebell in that same position I started from, all right? So again, what I'll do from the side, all right, I'm going to put my arms out in front, right? Find that good stretch, crush my armpits, crush the handle, and I'm gonna push into the floor, standing up at the top, all right? One of the things that I see a lot of athletes do, and sometimes it's coached this way, we don't want to hyperextend from the lower back. Yes, we want to squeeze your glutes. We want to get into a nice tall position, but what we don't want is going down, hinging, and then shifting all the way through. That's something that I see a lot of athletes do. We definitely want to hyperextend on that because we're putting a lot of weight into your lower back. So you want to think, crush the ground, almost screw yourself into the floor. Again, get yourself nice and tall, screw yourself into the floor, and then finish nice and tall at the top. All right, as you master that, right, another progression I like to do is add in 2 kettlebells. Now it's gonna be a little bit wider stance, right? So some people benefit from a slightly wider stance, or if you're gonna get into like a sumo position, all right? Same idea, I'm gonna be a little bit taller, soft knees, arms out, reach back, find the kettlebells. I'm gonna keep my knees pushed out the whole time, push the floor away, stand up nice and tall, and reverse that right back down to the ground, all right? So when it comes to hinging, there's a lot of options progressing from the kettlebells, right? We can progress into a trap bar. And again, like if I had a trap bar here, same form, except now my arms are at my side, all right? And then from there, we can progress into a barbell, but that's a common area that we see, some common mistakes that we see people make in the hinge. So start off mastering the hinge, working on your counterbalance reaches. From there, graduate into some kettlebell deadlifts, add in some weight, maybe add in the trap bar from there. All right, so I'm glad, or I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial.